Good evening, viewers, and welcome to National Talk on ECWA Television Africa, where we'll be looking at various stories that have been trading in the nation, varying from the ASU strike down to the Abba Kyari story and also to the fuel subsidy issue and the adulterated fuel. I am Sela Elisha Dashum, and joining me in the studio today is Lois Turaki, who will be taking us on the news. Good evening, Lois.
Good evening, Stella.
I'm so excited and happy to have you in the studio with me
I'm
today.
excited as well. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you, dear. Okay, now we shall be moving down to the news, and after that, I will be analyzing some of the story, and your feedbacks I really appreciate. Over to you, Lois.
Okay, it has been a groundbreaking moment in Nigeria with a lot happening. On the news tonight, with the lingering fuel scarcity, stations run out of petrol, scarcity paralyzes states. The NDLEA says Kyari may spend more days in detention as they approach courts. Still, NDLEA to police, drug cartel working with DCP Abba Kyari, not our men. ASU fumes as federal government declares strike illegal. In the eastern part of the country, 8 killed in Abia cattle market, northern group's cake. NNPC boss says will file liquidated damages against importers. And insecurity, Zamfara residents pay 40.7 million naira protection levies to bandits. Details of the news. In Nigeria, several filling stations are still not supplying premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, a development that worsened the nationwide PMS scarcity and crippled activities across country on Wednesday. As long queues resulting from the scarcity of premium motor spirit persist nationwide, marketers of the product yesterday agreed to operate their jetties, depots and filling stations for 18 hours. In Abuja, Lagos, Rivers, Bayelsa, Kwara, Nasarawa, Niger, Kano, Ogun State, among others, queues by motorists for petrol hailed the very limited number of filling stations that dispense the commodity. The crisis caused by the adulterated petrol imported into Nigeria about 2 weeks had led to an increase in the cost of the commodity in many states as black marketers of the PMS also cashed in on the development. In Abuja and parts of Niger and Nasarawa, for instance, black marketers sold petrol for as high as 6,000 naira per litre, translating to 600 naira per litre. The cost of transport fares skyrocketed nationwide, and many small businesses were grounded due to the inability of owners of the ventures to access petrol to run their activities. Meanwhile, oil marketers also restated on Wednesday they were making moves to start blending the adulterated PMS since the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, had yet to recall all the contaminated products. On Tuesday, the NNPC had stated it was working hard to address the situation, as it noted that over 2.3 billion litres of PMS will arrive in the country between now and the end of February 2022. This, it said, will restore sufficient volume and above the national target of 30 days. As of today, the NNPC has over 1 billion litres of petrol in stock, and the PMS being dispensed today at the various filling stations in the country is safe, the oil firm said in a statement issued in Abuja. But despite the NNPC's promises, the queues across the country persisted and the cost of petrol continued to rise above the official rate of 165 naira per litre. Meanwhile, the anti-vandal unit of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, which went out to monitor the fuel situation on Wednesday, said it had ordered petrol stations that hoarded fuel to dispense it. As a result, fewer vehicles were seen on the roads, while commuters were seen trekking to their destinations. In Plateau State, the scarcity had resurfaced in Jos in the past 1 week, persisted and grew worse on Wednesday, with many motorists and residents lamenting the situation. Abba Kyari, embattled Deputy Commissioner of Police, and 4 others may spend more than time in the custody of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, as the NDLEA has approached a federal high court in Abuja, notifying the court of its intention to detain the suspect beyond the stipulated 48 hours. A top source at the agency, on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to speak with the press, said the cop had made some revelations which will lead to more investigations, and as such, the NDLEA will not be able to arraign him just yet. According to him, Kyari has made some revelations which will lead to more investigations. Also, the NDLEA is doing a forensic analysis of some of the cocaine recovered by Kyari. He claimed in a video that he replaced cocaine with a dummy one. So the agency has approached a federal high court in Abuja, notifying the court of our intention to interrogate him further and verify some of his claims. The cop was arrested by the police on Monday for alleged drug trafficking and handed over to the NDLEA along with 4 others: Sunday Ubwa, ASP Bawa James, Inspector Simon Agrigba, and John Nuhu. Another officer, ASP John Umoru, is said to be at large. The DCP, who was suspended by the police last July for his alleged links to international fraudster Hush Puppy, was caught on video during a sting operation by the NDLEA attempting to sell part of the cocaine which was seized from some drug dealers in Enugu while his suspension was subsisting. Meanwhile, the NDLEA on Wednesday said that it had no reason to shield anyone who may be indicted in the course of the ongoing investigation of a 25 kg cocaine deal involving a gang headed by Kyari. The agency, in a statement by its spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, said it remained committed to evidence-based investigation and its resolve cannot be weakened by any misinterpretation of facts. The NDLEA said this while responding to claims by the police that some NDLEA officials at the Akanu Ibiam Airport, Enugu, conspired with drug dealers to bring in 25 kg of cocaine, which was eventually seized by Kyari and his team. The Nigerian government had said last week that it was looking at the possibility of extraditing him to the U.S. after investigations had been concluded. In a developing story, the National Drug Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has distanced its operatives at the Enugu International Airport from the 25-kilogram cocaine deal allegedly involving a suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCP Abba Kyari, saying it will not spare anyone found complicit in the matter. On Monday, the anti-drug agency declared Kyari wanted over alleged links with an international drug cartel. Femi Babafemi, the spokesperson of the NDLEA, narrated how Kyari and the Intelligence Response Team, IRT, arrested some drug traffickers who arrived in the country from Ethiopia with 25 kg of cocaine and proposed to take 15 kg of the seized drugs for themselves. Responding to the allegation of the NDLEA on Tuesday, the police, in a statement, said they arrested Kyari and 4 officers for tampering with narcotic exhibits and unprofessional infractions. The police said the investigation revealed that the international drug cartel involved in the case has strong ties with some NDLEA officers at Enugu Airport and asked the NDLEA to investigate its officers. However, in a statement yesterday, the anti-drug agency said it remains committed to the evidence-based investigation and will not be deterred by any misrepresentation of facts. The statement read to correct some inaccuracies in the information in the public space that NDLEA officers at the Enugu Airport were the ones who received from the cartel details about the mule coming from Addis Ababa. The agency wishes to quote from the transcript of Abba Kyari's recorded conversation with an undercover officer and a portion of ASP James Bawa's statement to the police as documented in the police investigation report, a copy of which was made available to the agency, that it's an established fact that is Abba Kyari's team that was contacted by the cartel, and without doubt, the records clearly show how their drug ring works. Still on the news, on Wednesday, the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities exchanged blame over the 4-week strike which the union began on Monday. Adamu, the Minister of Education, in an interview with State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja, said the demands of the union were being renegotiated. According to him, he was therefore surprised when he learnt about the strike, adding that the industrial action was not government's fault. However, the president of ASU, Professor Emmanuel Osodieke, blamed Adamu, asserting that the union visited the minister on Thursday last week and told him what will likely happen. The minister did not mention the issue of negotiations when the union visited him. Adamu, however, insisted that after several negotiations between ASU and the government, both parties had not reached a truce. He stated, ASU unfortunately has gone on strike and I'm looking for their leaders because all these issues are being addressed. The last thing that happened was that our committee looked at their demands, but there are negotiations going on. They submitted a draft agreement which the ministry is looking at. The minister said ASU's decision came abruptly amidst ongoing negotiations. Speaking on ASU's draft agreement, he said a committee is looking at it. Immediately it finishes, the government is meant to announce what it had accepted. Then suddenly I heard them going on strike. On allegations from ASU about his absence from meetings, he said ASU will never say that. I always summon the meeting myself. The meetings I didn't attend were those that happened when I was in the hospital in Germany. We want a peaceful resolution. The federal government is ready to meet them on all issues they have raised. And if there are so many meetings and the gap is not closing, then I think it is not the fault of the government. There is a solution to this. The negotiations are the solution. And that is why I have said that I am surprised that ASU has gone on strike. Yesterday was somber as gunmen late Tuesday night invaded the new cattle market at Umuazo in Ukwa West local government area of Abia State, killing 8 traders from the north and slaughtering over 200 cows. A high-powered team of Abia State government, led by the Chief of Staff to the Governor, Professor Anthony Ugbazwere, on Wednesday morning visited the market to assess the situation and sympathize with the traders. A statement issued by the Eze Chikamnayo, Commissioner for Information and Strategy, on the incident said the government was shocked and saddened by the killing of the 8 innocent citizens of our great country. We totally condemn this immoral act together with its wicked perpetrators. We are working diligently to provide assistance to the families of the victims. Those who sustained injuries are currently receiving medical attention. We have equally started the immediate relocation of the traders while working out compensation for lost properties. We'll leave no stone unturned to ensure that the evil perpetrators are brought to justice, the statement added. Superintendent Geoffrey Ogbonna, the police public relations officer in the state, confirmed the attack and said no arrest had been made. When asked for the identities of the victims, he said they were traders, but their names had not been ascertained. But the chief imam of Umuahia, Alhaji Mohammed Baraya, said 9 traders and 20 cows were killed. Meanwhile, the coalition of northern groups in Nigeria, CNG, and the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum, AYCF, had condemned the gruesome murder of the traders. They asked the Abia state government to fulfill its promises of bringing the killers to justice. Abdulaziz Suleiman, the CNG spokesperson, said the state government must act speedily to bring the culprits to book and warned that the North will no longer tolerate unwarranted attacks on its people living as minorities in the Southeast or any other part of the country. Equally, the national president of the AYCF, Alhaji Yerima Shetima, said the group was deeply concerned about the killings of the traders doing legitimate business. While condemning the attack, he welcomed the prompt response of security agencies and urged the state government to pursue its promise to bring the killers to book in the spirit of national unity and stability. Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, on Wednesday said the company has filed liquidated damages against suppliers of methanol-laden fuel. He also said that NNPC has taken measures to ensure that premium motor spirit PMS meant for Nigeria is methanol-free. Kyari said this is why the company had turned back 5 cargoes coming from the same place the methanol-laden fuel that came into the country originated from. Talking at an investigative hearing with the House Committee on Petroleum Downstream, Kyari said queues at fuel stations in the country will disappear by next week, as the company has up to 2.1 billion litres of fuel that should last up to March this year. What did we do? We have put all our suppliers who are our contacts or commercial angle on notice that there will be liquidated damages that will come from this, he said. Also, it is typical practice that we gather liquidated damages that direct supplier didn't cost. He will transfer that to the next person until it gets to the originated supplier. So it's a back-to-back arrangement that is always done so that once you file on one of them, it will get to the last one. I do not know how many people are in the chain. In this PMS supply business, in one cargo, you can have 3 sellers, you can have 2, and you may also have only 1. It is from further inquiry that will tell us from whose hand until it gets to us. Every one of them will transfer the liquidated damages to the last person until it gets to the originated supplier. This is what we are doing to see that these liquidated damages are settled, and it is commercial process. It is also a legal process, and I know it is not as simple as sorting it out. Finally, after 6 months sacking a military base in the area, bandits have collected at least 40.7 million naira as protection levy from residents of Mutumji communities in Maru local government area of Zamfara state. Residents said they delivered 9.7 million naira to the bandits on February 4th as the last installment of the levy collected from many peasant communities in Mutumji. The troubled area, Mutumji, is in Dan Sadao Emirate and sits at the edge of Kuyambana Forest in the ungoverned boundaries with Katsina, Kaduna, Kebbi, and Niger states. Recall that last September, bandits attacked the forward operating base in Mutumji, killing 9 Air Force, 2 police, and 1 army personnel. The bandits reportedly also stole weapons and other equipment before setting the base ablaze. A traditional ruler in Mutumji, Abdul Qadir Abdullahi, said, according to reports, that soldiers withdrew from the area after the attack on the military base. He said the withdrawal has made villages in the area a soft target for bandits who have imposed a protection levy on the communities. Abdullahi said Mutumji has 47 villages with 4 district heads and 32 ward heads. He said all the villages are now under the control of bandits and that those that chose not to pay the levy have relocated to neighboring Kebbi and Niger states. The traditional ruler said the deserted villages include Guru, Damfasa, Dogonrua, Tungar Baushi, Jessa, Gazamba, Fankashi, Damkofa, Jasazarnesa, Maijankai, and Gobirawa Guru. He also identified villages that have paid the protection levy as Sabon Garim Muhuta, which paid 6 million naira, Randa 6 million naira, Kwanardutse 10 million naira, and Ungwarkawo 5 million naira. Abdullahi further said that the Mutumji community initially paid 4 million naira to the bandits as harvest permit before paying the 9.7 million naira balance of their protection levy on Monday. The total amount imposed on Mutumji was 20 million naira. We were given 1 week to complete the payment, the traditional leader said. He explained that the 40.7 million naira paid by all the communities did not include ransoms paid by individuals to the bandits for the release of kidnapped relatives. The police, however, said they did not receive any official complaints from the residents of the communities over the 4.9 million naira protection levy imposed on them by the bandits. Its spokesperson in the state, Mohammed Shehu, said the police cannot be in every community in the area, but added that they have personnel on ground in Dansadao district. He urged the residents to always inform and cooperate with the security forces in ensuring the security of lives and properties. Shehu said he could not speak on the withdrawal of soldiers from forward operating base in Mutumji, but it was a military formation. However, efforts to speak with the military authorities were unsuccessful. These are all the news stories we have for tonight. Sele, it's quite amazing, you know, they have declared these people, these bandits, as terrorist group, but we have seen how 40.7 million naira is being paid to these people for protection of lives and properties. Our security agencies are supposed to be the ones protecting lives and properties in Nigeria. How come that people in Zamfara state, especially in Mutumji local government community rather, is paying 40.7 million naira to bandits for protection? Not to talk about other monies paid for ransom of relatives being kidnapped. It's just a lot of problems that is creating for these people living in Zamfara state.
You know, while you were reading the story, what actually shocked me was the fact that the police said they didn't receive any complaint coming for the resident. And I know that quite a while now, like from the beginning of the year, like Zamfara residents have been living in fear as a result of, like say, unrest coming from the bandits. We had the governor of even Borno State coming out to say that these people get married freely. They have taken over 2 communities. So, you know, this will take us back to the fact that why do we have security agencies? Yes, we know they can't be everywhere, and that is why we have the vigilantes that are helping them. But then we have times with that number where letters are coming from the bandits saying that they are coming over to come and take over these communities if they do not pay a ransom. But it surprised me the fact that the police would say they are not aware. I mean, this is something you're supposed to be on your toe, because I know that the responsibility of every government is to work alongside the security agency, make sure that at every point and where they cannot be, because I know there are routes that they cannot enter, maybe as a result of the route. You work together with the villages and let them know that they need to be at particular points. And that is why, you know, I always say it, even while we are having the dailies, that is why we need to update things that are happening. We're in a globalized economy right now, so we can't be running things the way we've always run them back then. I think this is a call-up call. I always say this, that the government needs to be on their toe, because if you fail to protect lives and properties, then I mean, you'll be called a failed government, because this is your #1 priority. And we always say that when this administration was coming into power, they said their #1 responsibility is to take care of insecurity and corruption. So I think this is a call-up call for them to be on their toe and do what is expected of them, because insecurity is really, really taking over.
It's really taking over the country. And meanwhile, we have election coming just at the corner. I don't know what the next government will want to say they want to tackle. Definitely they will say insecurity and also the corruption, but it's just unfortunate that things like this are keep on lingering in the country. Is very sad. And talking about the petroleum issue in the country, the methanol fuel that was imported down to the country and has caused a lot of problems for motorists and other people that are using the fuel. Now we have seen that the NNPC are coming up to say they are trying to see how this methanol fuel can be removed so that the good one will come in. So all this scarcity and all these problems that we have. A lot of coming to work this morning was a serious issue, because the kekes that are available are just there increasing transport fare, and then I saw this filling station with a very long queue. It's just devastating. I hope that the NNPC will really stand on their toes and do the needful, so that as soon as possible everything will just come to normal, because this fuel issue, it's really something.
Exactly, this fuel issue is really it's really a problem, and that is why we shall be analyzing all these issues, because this is something that bother each and everyone that's living in Nigeria. Well, Lois, I'm really grateful that you're here. Thank you so much for taking us down the news line and also analyzing one or two things. Thank you so much. We shall be taking a time out, and when we come back, we shall be analyzing more stories. And remember that your feedbacks are really, really important. We are live on YouTube and also on Facebook, so you can drop your comments and we'll do well to read them. Thank you. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're still on National Talk on ECWA TV Africa. And we have been looking at some stories that have been trending in the nation from Monday down to Friday. Starting from the Abba Kyari, story. It seems that the 14th of February gave birth to lots and lots of issues. The 1 month full strike by ASU, the Abba Kyari story, and also the fuel subsidy, or looking at the scarcity that has been happening in the nation starting from the January down to February. And I would like to start analyzing from the first story, which is the Abba Kyari story. We know that Abba Kyari was one time a super corp. He was celebrated, for investigating into. We have been looking at issues. Okay, hello, who is on the line? Okay, I think I lost that call. Well, yes, we've been looking at some of the issues, and I said starting with the Abba Kyari story. We know he was a one-time super cop who was celebrated in 2016 because he was able to rescue some girls in Lagos State, and also he was, he mingled shoulders with a politician, celebrity. But then we need to ask what went wrong. This is the question that is $1 million question. What actually went wrong? Because we know that he was associated with a case associated with Hush Puppy, which was last year August, and lots of issues has been coming up. We know, looking at the fact that Hush Puppy is actually the case is still in the United States of America, and then we know that Abba Kyari has been walking around. He even attended a wedding, in Maiduguri last month. But then all of a sudden, there was a shocking revelation, which he was linked to a drug cartel. And, this would bring about the people asking what actually happened, because we know that the police force is actually supposed to be the principle that will help the president to curb down corruption, to curb down insecurity. But when we are having a former CDP, because he was suspended from the police force after he was associated with Hush Puppy, who is an internet fraudster, and this will bring to mind, if the police force that people are looking up to be the one that will, bring about law and order, are still the same people that are associated with such a criminal act, then something needs to be done about the police force. There needs to be an inspection. There needs to be a fishing out of the bad eggs, because if we have issues like this associated with Abba Kyari, then people will actually have to ask lots of questions. We know that Abba Kyari is not the only one who was involved. We had some other people from the NDLA, and we also have that there have been a dispute or a confusion when it comes to the NDLA and also the police force on how to go about things. But people are asking that, is Abba Kyari the only one involved in this case, or possibly he was used as a bait to get other people? A lot of people are saying that the grave was dug for him and he fell into it properly. But I know this will bring about people asking questions, that if Abba Kyari is involved in this, who are the other bigger boys that are involved in such an issue like this? Because we know that he is not working alone, because these are what people would say, that he's not working alone in this issue. There are lots of people that are working with him, and this will bring to mind that we need to ask questions. It's not just about asking the question, but it's about asking the right question and getting the right answers. We need, even though facts have been brought to actually bring out the fact that Abba Kyari also had his brother working alongside the drug cartel in even making the NDLA to put dummies to replace the 15 kg of the drug that he smuggled into the country from Ethiopia. But this will bring to mind that we really need to look into the issue of the drug cartel, who are the people that are involved with him, and what is being done to make sure that people who are corrupt in the police force, not just in the police force, the army, the air force, we have lots of people who are working, and this will give birth to even insecurity, because we know there have been stories that the reps have taken up to look at the auditing of the armories that have been missing. And these armors have been missing for quite about 2 years now, and we are having the reps trying to look into the issue of what happened to these armories. We've been having prison breaks in various states in the Federation, and this will bring to mind that if we have people of this like of Abba Kyari, definitely, possibly, who knows, they are working with the terrorists to make sure that the terrorists, bandits are having a field day in the nation. And that is why we really need to be on our toe. We really need to fish out. And you know, I always say it, that the rule of law needs to take its place regardless of who you are, whether you set the laws, but you need to obey the laws, because the laws are not just meant for the citizens to obey, but the laws are also meant for those who set the laws, whether you're in the legislative, the judiciary, the executive. The rule of law needs to take its place. And you know, this is what people say when they say karma will definitely catch up with you. 99 days for the thieves, 1 day for the owner. And that is why we're having issues like this. Even though Abba Kyari, in the papers within the week, we read that he's been in the police force, and also food given to him, he rejected it. But you know, we need to protect his life so that he will be able to speak out who are the people that are working alongside him, because you know, people are of the opinion that he's not working alone. And you know, definitely we will agree that Abba Kyari cannot be working alone. He has other people that are working with him. So we need to, you know, fish out all these people, the bad eggs in the Air Force, the police, the army. Regardless of who you are, the rule of law needs to take its place, because we can't be running in this, you know, in a country where lawlessness is taking place. People feel they can just do whatever they feel like doing, not minding the lives that is affected as a result of the day. Because we know that when the drugs get to have its way into the hands of other people, which is an illegal drug for that matter, it becomes very disastrous. It brings even health hazard to people who are in the, you know, in the public. And that is why we really need to look into the issue when it comes to this drug cartel. And we need to go to the end of this issue, because it's not going to end here. It's not just about you're in the police, you're in the NDLA, but we need to know what is being done to make sure that we curb insecurity, we curb corruption, because corruption has been eating so deep into the nation, and that is why it's giving birth to lots and lots of issues. We know, I mean, earlier in the year, we had where the boss Mustafa came out, you know, to inaugurate a committee in the NDLA that will look into corruption, that will look into people who are working in a way that is not accepted. We're looking at misappropriation of funds in various agencies. We're looking at even the drug cartel that Abba Kyari has been associated with. And I think this will bring to mind that people really need to be on their toe. People really need to know that we need to be open about when it comes to handling corruption, because when corruption is being given birth to, it gives birth to other issues. And we need to be open about to make sure that we do away with corruption, we do away with the bad eggs that are, you know, posting and making the police, the army look as if it's a corruption, you know, free day you feel because you're in the army, you have the guts to do whatever you want to do. No, we really need to look into the issue of making sure that all is done appropriately. Regardless of who you are, the rule of law needs to take its place. Regardless of where you are, the rule of law needs to take its place. And that will bring to mind check and balance. When we check all these places, then we'll be able to balance sanity, we'll be able to balance that things are working as expected, that people do what they're expected to do at the appropriate time. Because we're having lots of issues in the nation. I mean, this is the eve for election, and we're supposed to be focused on seeing how we'll be able to elect good and competent people that will start and, you know, rule Nigeria in a way that will be presentable, that will also, you know, bring in foreign investors. I mean, stories like this, you know, will definitely paint the nation very back other places. And that's why we are happy that the likes of Abba Kyari, you know, have been brought to book. And we are hoping and also, keeping our fingers crossed that other people that are working with Abba Kyari will be brought to book, because nobody is above the law. Regardless of who you are, you need to pay the price for acting in a way that is not acceptable, because we have laws that have been set, we have rules that have been set on how things are expected to be done. And when we have people who are supposed to be the one to check and make sure things are working accordingly, and they don't do what is expected of them, then definitely the rule of law needs to take its place. Things need to be addressed in this nation, because when things are not addressed, people will feel like they are free to do whatever they want to do. So the likes of Abba Kyari, we set an example, or that nobody is above. He will serve as a scapegoat to other people that feel that they can act as they want and nothing will be done. Okay, and we'll be looking at, I think I've taken so much time on the issue of Abba Kyari, but we have other stories of, great interest, especially the one that is very dear to my heart when it comes to the ASU strike. There's a time that we've been told that education is the bedrock of any nation. And we're told that teachers are the lamp that shines the light for students to see. But looking at the issue of the federal government and also ASU, we know the people that are the receiving end of this whole thing are the students, because parents are also affected, students are also affected. I know there's some demands that have been set by ASU, looking at the sustainability of the university anatomy. And this is, it brings to mind that the university sector wants to be left to handle when it comes to giving of admission, because they felt that the joint admission and matriculation board has been interfering, and they are of the opinion that JAM should handle the administrative side of it, while the university will handle the academic side. But it seems that JAM has been interfering when it comes to the autonomy of ASU, and this is the things ASU are bringing to the notice of the federal government that they need to look into. Another demands ASU made is the fact that they need a replacement of the integrated personnel payroll information system with its own university transparency and accountability solution. I think this is the point where the federal government and ASU need to sit down on a round table and come to an understanding. We had the Minister of Education and also the Minister of Labor saying they are not aware of the strike that ASU went on. But this will bring to mind that where have they been all this while? Because it's ideal that the Minister of Education, the Minister of Labor will work hand in hand with ASU to make sure that things are working as it's supposed to be, to make sure that the needs of the academic staff union of the university is being met. But when we're having ASU working separately and we're having the Minister of Education and Labor working separately, this will bring confusion, because a house that is divided on itself cannot stand. And that is why we're calling on ASU and also the Ministry of Education to come together and come to a consensus. They need to come to an understanding that the students are the receiving end. When you go to Instagram, Twitter, students are, bringing their plight to the government, saying that a 5-year course now runs to 10 years. And this is really, really a sad one, because we know that education is very, very paramount. And when we neglect that sector, that is the educational sector, then other sectors tend to suffer, because teachers are supposed to be the ones they train and give birth to other occupation. And when we don't give attention to these teachers, then we tend to open up the door for other things. It seems to be there's a hold for other things to take place that is not supposed to be. So we are pleading and also asking that the federal government will look into what they need to do, and so that ASU will come back on track, because it's not really looking good to other nations that are looking up to Nigeria as the giant of Africa, and also looking to the fact that ASU has been on strike for the 15th times. It's really, really sad. The first strike was when it took place in 2020 during when we look at the COVID. There was a strike that was supposed to be for a week, but it ran down to 8 months, and now we are having another strike. And only God knows, when they say 1 month full strike, which is just a warning strike, how long will the strike now go on? This is a question that students are asking. This is a question that the entire nation, parents are asking. For how long can we continue in this pattern? Must there always be a strike before things will be addressing the nation? We already have in the papers that the College of Education is planning on a strike. Polytechnic are planning on a strike. Come on, things are not supposed to be going on this way in the nation. Nigeria is the giant of Africa, and I think we can do better than, allowing strike to be the way forward in this nation. We need to look at the plight of the academic sector, that let that sector not suffer for whatsoever reason. Because, when students have become very idle, this will give birth to insecurity. I've been looking at insecurity for quite a while now, because insecurity tends to be the order of the day, because lots of things are happening. And when we look, UNICEF gave birth to well, I not give birth, but UNICEF came up with a report to the fact that there tend to be more recruitment of terrorists in the nation, and this is really, really sad, because Nigeria is not supposed to be facing such an issue, especially when it comes to insecurity, because we had lots of issue in Zamfara where residents are being asked to pay over 40.7 million naira just to safeguard their life, so they'll be able to harvest crops, and things are not supposed to be working in this way. I mean, it's really a sad one in a nation that we boast as being the largest black nation in Africa, and yet we're having the likes of killings in Zamfara, in Kaduna, in even Abia State. Recently, within the week, on Wednesday, there was an attack in the market where kettles and even traders lost their life as a result of insecurity. And this will bring back to the mind what is being done to the sponsors of terrorism, what is being done to those who are funding them, giving them the armories they need, giving them food, shelter, clothing. I mean, things are not supposed to be going this way. We really, really need to be on our toes to look at the issue of insecurity. It's a very sad one where we heard in the stories that police are not aware that this is what has been happening. They said the resident did not complain. But I mean, security is supposed to be on their foot, supposed to be up and about to make sure that the lives and properties of people are being taken care of. But why are we seeing that insecurity tends to be the order of the day? In Kaduna, you hear one killing after another, kidnapping after another. We had the Greenfield students that were kidnapped. Today, we're still having the better students. Some of them are still in the custody of the bandit, and what is being done is questions people are asking. What is the government doing to make sure that insecurity is being taken care of? For how long we will continue on this, on the pattern that we must pay money to keep our lives? We must keep, give money to be able to even go to farms. I mean, you can't even go to schools, because even in the school, we are afraid that our lives are at stake. And it brings to mind that what is the government doing? Because how are these banditry able to have their way? Operation will take place in a village, in a community, all night long. And in the morning, you see securities coming to ask what happened. I mean, this is really a sad one. And we really, really need to address insecurity in this nation, because we're having elections just by the corner. And even INEC has come up to say that they are afraid, because when, looking at those who would use that, take advantage of it, we're having hoodlums who will take away ballots, papers, stealing, and all that. This is really a sad one. We're having people who are even going to disrupt the election. I mean, the police, and also looking at not just the police, but in the general, we need to look at security, because it should be the primary responsibility of every government. The government can be everywhere, but we know that we need to really need to look at things that are happening. And let's take a look at the first subsidy, will I say, the first scarcity that has been happening in the nation. It's really a sad one, because we are all at the receiving end. Whether you have a personal car or you use a public car, we have all been affected by the first subsidy. And I'm excited when the MD that's looking at Malakiari spoke about the fact that he's apologizing that adulterated fuel that came into the nation. and they don't want to even, they have even rejected another fuel coming from the same source that brought in that adulterated fuel. I mean, we really applaud the government for taking such a step. I know when we look at the human angle, people are looking at the fact that fuel scarcity is a various part of federation with black markets. I know it's surprising that those in the black market are those that have the fuel, and when you go to the filling station, you can't even get access to the fuel, and the price has even been hiked because we're having a hike in fuel prices, we're having a hike in transportation, there's even been a hike in even food prices. Why? Because those who have to go to the market to buy it, or those who have to go to the farm, would charge you because they need to go get this food stuff, and bringing it over to the city, it's really, really telling on them. And that's why we have to pay a very high price when it comes to either transportation from one place to another, or whether it comes to buying food stuff. And it's really a sad one that we have to go through that, even though the government have come out to address that issue, saying the fact that hopefully by the end of February 2022, they will look into the fact that fuel prices will be brought down to the minimum, and also that everybody will have access to having a fuel. So no need for people to, bring out all their cars and go line up. And maybe that is why we're having the long queue in various filling stations in the Federation, Abuja, Kaduna, Lagos, and even the Plateau State here. There has been quite a long queue, and the tricycles will charge you very, very high as a result of the hike in the price. But we're really excited that the government are actually taking the right step in the right direction to make sure that they address the issue of fuel when it comes to the hike in fuel price, the fuel scarcity. And it's really a right step we need to take as a nation to make sure that things are done the way it's expected to be done. Well, time is quite spent on me, and I need to draw the curtains on the show. But remember to drop your feedbacks, and I'll try as much as possible to make sure that I read your comment next time on the show. Until I come your way again, on behalf of all of us at ECWA Television, we really appreciate you for making our time to always listen, and also to watch us, and also to our sponsors, and also to those who make sure they pray and also contribute. We're really grateful. And also to the ECWA executive, thank you for a platform like this where we get to propagate the word of God, and also to highlight on some of the issues that are happening on the nation. Until I come your way again, I remain your host, Stella Elisha Dasham. Have a blessed evening. Goodbye for now.